Welcome to Raw Radio.
And we're live.
It took you a long time to get there. You won't sound like it as a listener, but boy, it took some time.
Sometimes we need to make adjustments, okay?
Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah, so should we just get right into it?
Well, this was important episode because this was our first return.
It was our first return guest.
Right.
Yes.
And it's like we're struggling for guests. We just love Arman.
We do love Arman.
Arman is a phenomenal guy. But listen, last time we had him on, it was about a year ago, a little bit over a year.
Bit more, yeah.
And he talked about getting his black belt and, teaching and learning from Gracie University and 10th Planet, right? Kind of black and white situation. It was interesting. Listen to episode 15. 1-5. Damn, that's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
We should listen to that.
Well,
we should.
No,
we should
because
we probably suck really bad.
No.
But it was interesting. He came back now, and right? He officially completed his chiropractor education.
Yep.
So that's one. 2, he opened his own academy.
Yep.
Under Gracie University. Yeah. So a lot of new things with Arman going on, and we touched on a lot of that.
Yeah.
During the episode, right? And we kind of themed it into an adjustment.
An adjustment, right? Chiropractic adjustment, adjusting to opening your own place, opening it under somebody else's banner, right? And all the things that go with it, and adjusting on the fly for the mats not fitting the room. He's got the Gracie green mats. It's not like a puzzle piece, and adjusting to life as a doctor and a jiu-jitsu instructor, owner, instructor. And how is he going to balance his life? How is he going to adjust the day-to-day workings of his life for those two very time-consuming, big, important roles?
Yeah. So first thing I want to say this. If you're out there listening to this right now and you feel like you're struggling with overload of life, I really want you to take a moment and listen to Arman's episode, because I've been literally in his shoes,
right,
and I know the anxiety of doing what he's trying to accomplish, follow his dream, and yet working a professional career. But it's such an interesting dynamic as he's sharing some of these experiences, right? Mm-hmm. And again, I'm going to pivot to our cliche, title or subject of the thing, but it's all about making these little adjustments and continuing flowing with the goal that we have in our mind.
Yeah.
I want to pivot this takeaway, this particular one, into kind of 2 segments. Let's talk about chiropractic adjustments and your experience. Mm-hmm. Do you do them? Do you find them useful? Do you think that maintenance of our body is important for, before and after we get slammed and destroyed, balls out
coming up later. I'm going to be here all night.
into the wall? Do you, jokes aside, do you find the maintenance of our body, whether chiropractic or not?
So
let's put that aside, but maintenance of our body, is that important?
Yes, absolutely. Of course it is. You can't go from 0 to 100 without taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. You can't, go, balls to the wall, to talk about something else, but you can't go that hard without taking care of, without being proactive, which could be anything from stretching to, if you have an ailment, making sure that that's not going to interfere. Arman said, if you're a race car driver or you have a race car, are you going to tune it up, make sure it's working right before or after the race? Well, probably both, but definitely before, right? So what does that mean? That means that you got to make sure that you're in the right condition to perform at whatever level you're at. And if that means you're just a white belt and you're just coming into a fundamentals class, you got to make sure you're there. If you're coming into an advanced class and, maybe the warm-ups are crazy or the technique is crazy or the last half an hour of rolling is crazy, well, then you got to make sure you're there too. so I think it's vitally important. Okay then. Peace.
But so why is it so hard for us to do that then?
Because there's a million different reasons. There's a million different excuses. There are some very valid reasons. And it could be anything, from time management to diet, any exercise you may or may need to do to get you ready for a class, for any physical activity. And then there's also, there's excuses of, well, I haven't been at class for 2 days. I'll go back next week. And then you haven't been there. So you think you should go hard to make up for lost time, all that type of stuff. And, I think that's the reason that a lot of people don't do it. I know I use some of those excuses or have valid reasons from time to time too. But I think it's really, you got to kind of just clear your head and make sure that you can do the preparation, right? For anything, you always have to do your prep work on anything you do. Jiu Jitsu is no different, right? But unlike sanding and priming a wall, you're talking about your physical being, and that's a lot. There's a lot more to it, than just prepping a wall.
Yeah, no. Here's another thought that just arose in my head is, we show up to this place we call academy. We pay for it clearly, right? And with the hope of learning this cool thing that we really, we kind of sort of addicted to it in a positive way. We really stoked about it. There's a lot of passion associated with it. A lot of students find themselves in that position. And the hope here is that we're going to continue doing this for a long time. Longer we do it, older we get, wear and tear starts being exposed. And now we find ourselves in this point that we have aches and bruises and other things. And we hope that, or we maybe even regret sometimes that we didn't take care of ourselves, or we didn't take care of ourselves earlier on this journey to prolong the journey, right? To make this journey a little bit more pleasant, right? To make it more effective. And I'm not even talking about getting more out of it, right? So there's kind of two components of all this. One is how long are we going to train because our bodies don't allow us to do, and two, how effective our training is. Right. So, and I think some of that maintenance, whether it's stretching, dynamic stretching before the training, static stretching after the training, chiropractor visits, even massage, getting a massage really could change the way how your body reacts. I'm not talking about anything complex here, like, going, lifting and cross training and some crazy diets or excuse me, or some specific things that we might be doing. I'm just talking about standard maintenance. If we incorporate that into our training, it really could take us much further and much more efficient as we go through this journey. Especially if we are, we are older, and as we get older. I know for myself.
Speak for yourself.
Well, listen, make fun of me, but like when I was 20, when I was starting this, ask some of the guys around. I was not the best training partner. I wasn't. I go hard. I went hard. I've
heard.
Yeah, there are rumors. None of them are true. Well, none of them are true.
You just admitted it. What do you mean they're not true?
This is not being recorded. Nobody listens to this. But
if a tree falls in the forest.
But as time went on, in my 30s, there was a good push, I think. But now, as I find myself in my 40s, I don't feel old, but I definitely do feel wear and tear.
Yeah.
I cannot train twice a day hard every day. I can't. There's no way. Like, I have to be smart about this. Some days I train, some days I flow, some days I drill, some days, some days I love to sit in the back sit in the corner of the mat and just watch the students and really try to understand their logic. Mm-hmm. That's part of my studying. So, but I do think that regular maintenance, whatever that means to you, it is critical to the longevity of your success, to the longevity of your journey. So these adjustments, how we want to slice it, they are critical. Small adjustments,
Right.
just like Jiu Jitsu. Small adjustments as you go on, right? You just adjust and move forward. Adjust and why are you laughing?
I was just going to say micro adjustments, which I think is a term that is getting overused lately. But yeah, they are. They're small adjustments that you have to make in the course of a round or whatever. And so we're talking about the physicality of it, but then there's also the mental adjustments you have to make, right?
Yeah.
So you're making, which I think maybe come second.
I don't know.
The physicality, you're like, oh, shit, I can't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it could end there. I can't do that anymore. And you stop.
Well,
or you can think about it a little bit more and say, what can I do differently? What can I supplement? How can I change?
It definitely, a lot of it does start at the mindset. I think whether the mental adjustments come first before physical, I don't know if I'm smart enough to make that determination, but definitely a lot of it is mindset. I think our mind often plays tricks on us where we think we are done and we are really not. I mean, David Goggins, everybody knows him. He's notorious for really pushing the limits. And I'm not suggesting anybody to run 100 miles or anything like that, what he's been doing. But there is a message that he promotes when we think we are done, based on his book, we are only at 60% of our physical capacity. So there was a 40%. We have barely crossed the middle. There's still 40% of what we can do. Our mind tells us not to do it anymore. That's the comfort zone.
Yeah, but I feel like that is in a specific environment. It's something that's happening in the now. Where we're talking about something more like longevity, right? I think you should be aware of yourself and say, now is the time to start backing off and changing. So not quitting, but adjusting.
Well, that's what I mean by this.
Right?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean by this. Yeah. Like if the moment we find ourselves in this position where we start thinking, it's like, oh, listen, this is, I'm getting beat up. This is a lot of wear and tear. I cannot do this anymore. I feel exhausted. Whatever the case is. A lot of people will take that moment as a moment of quit, as a moment I'm done. I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna hang this up. I'll revisit this later, which never happens, right? But based on the theory of, and again, I could be wrong here. Challenge me on this in any capacity, but based on the theory of David Goggins, that means that there is more to it. We just need to make adjustments. We have to reframe how we are looking at the situation, right? So what do I need to get this accomplished? Right? There's more beyond this. Even though I think I'm done, there's more beyond this. So how do I get through this hump? How do I overcome this obstacle? Right? And this could mean I need to maybe get more sleep. This maybe could mean I need to start going balls out. That means instead of going 7 times a week, I need to go to 4 times a week.
Right.
I need to find my rest days. This also could mean I need to change my diet. This also could mean maybe the hours of training are not effective or not efficient based on my lifestyle.
That's a big one, man.
That's a big one, right? We go to work. We are exhausted from work. You got to work at 6. You get home at 7. You go to 7:30 class, and you barely had any time to eat. How many times I have conversations with a student where they didn't eat anything all day because they didn't have time.
Yeah.
I call bullshit.
Yeah. Or that.
What does that mean you don't have time to eat?
Well, they don't take the time. They don't make the time.
It's not a priority, right?
Yeah. And but there's also, I popped into my head while you were talking, is that you go to that 8 o'clock or 8:30 class and you don't get home till 10, but you're amped up from class.
Oh, yes.
And you stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Right. And then you got to get up at 5:30 for work or whatever. And that takes a toll too. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't go to that class, or is there any way I can rearrange my schedule where I can sleep
maybe
in
this is your lighter day. Maybe this is your lighter day where you stimulate yourself a different way. You still go to the class, but you know that you cannot get so, wired up about it physically and mentally that you cannot sleep for the next 3 hours, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is at the point where we think we are done, there shouldn't be a point of I'm done. There should be a point I need to make adjustments. That quitting is not an option at this point just yet. And again, this could be me having that specific, view on life, and being OCD and a little stubborn.
Well, but it's also, we're talking about something that you love too.
True.
Right? So
True.
if somebody doesn't have a love for it or a passion for it, it's easy for them to say, oh, I'm banged up. My knee hurts every day. I don't want my knee to hurt anymore. Instead of cause and effect, they look at it at correlation. Well, my knee hurts every day, so I'm going to quit jiu-jitsu. I bet your knee is going to continue to hurt. Right? I bet it is. So think about cause and effect. Well, what can I do to make my knee feel better? And can I do that within continuing my jujitsu?
Mm-hmm.
And I bet there is a way. There's guys, Arman had major back surgery, right? But guess what? He kept learning. He kept going to class when he, to sit and watch and to take notes. We always talk about that stuff. And then a few years later, he's a black belt. A few years later, he's in California training with Henner and Eddie Bravo, where he could have said, my back is screwed up. I'm going to quit. I can't do jiu-jitsu if my back is screwed up. No, he prioritized and he
forget his back.
Figured it out.
He almost threw everything in the wind when he had to measure his mats.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a different story. Yes, he has a support beam in the middle of his academy, and it's hard. Like I said, they're not puzzle pieces that he can work around that and then cut the mat at the end. No, you got to make those adjustments so you can continue. If it's something you want to do, you make those adjustments so that you can continue doing it.
And I think this is the pivot point. This is the main message here. If you really want to do this, you got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, nothing.
We are all smart cookies. We are humans. Well,
some smarter more than others.
Some more than others. But we all can make intelligent decisions. If you really want to continue doing this, you got to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to continue doing this, you shouldn't. You're wasting your time.
Right, but be honest with yourself. Be honest with your academy and everybody else involved. That's all.
All right. Well, let's make small adjustments, and let's wrap this up under 20 minutes this time.
Nice. Good. Everybody, you can have your day back. Peace.
Later.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.